Welcome to the Whiskey and Wisdom Podcast, coming to you from the Cargo District Recording Studios in Wilmington, North Carolina, where we discuss the most fascinating topics of life. I'm Tyler Yaw with my co-host, Chris Keller, and each week we interview a special guest to learn how they acquired their wisdom over a glass of whiskey. So, sit back, pour yourself a glass, and enjoy Whiskey and Wisdom.
Welcome back, you guys, to the lovely Cargo District Recording Studios. This week, we have Connor Barth on with us. He is a quote-unquote former NFL kicker, which I had no idea. I think it's kind of cool. And he's an investor in the area in many things.
Yeah.
And one of those investments was Blue Shark Vodka.
The best stuff, man. We call it the smoothest vodka in the world.
I would agree. And we have it right in front of us right now. So it is going to be vodka and wisdom today.
Yeah.
Switching it up.
And it's actually kind of cool. They just won a bunch of awards just because they got the best vodka.
Right.
And I mean, I don't know much about vodka. I know it's gluten-free because a lot of people who are on diets can drink it. But I do know Blue Shark is actually really cool. Apparently, because as usual, we put these notes in here. It is actually really chill. They won all of their awards, just neat. But we're going to try neat today and put it on rocks, mix it up a little bit, check it out. Their mash build is the classic sweet Carolina corn, and they work. I mean, I'm just looking at this. It's so pretty. It's just super smooth, different. There it is. It's pretty dry, has some notes of black and white pepper, and has a little zing on it with the lemon and lime zest for the acidity, and its finish has vegetal notes.
I learned that today.
I was like, I don't even know. I was looking at this word. I'm like, ooh, that's interesting.
Yeah, who knows what that really means? But it's
Right.
it's good stuff.
Yeah,
It's good
it's
stuff.
supposed to develop into a nice, clean, bitter, like a pleasant bitterness finish. Very short, and it's just really clean in the mouth. So we're going to take a sip, see how you guys won these awards. Cheers.
Cheers. Appreciate you having me on.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Cheers. Let's try this great stuff here.
That is really smooth. I've had Blue Shark many times before, but just kind of in the like traditional like shark and soda type of way with a lime in there. Never even tried it or even thought to try it just straight. And that's really good.
I mean, most people aren't drinking vodka straight, but
Right.
I guess maybe John Daly, but
Right.
I gotta get him. He'd be a great sponsor for Blue Shark Vodka because I think he drinks like he's a big vodka guy. So maybe I should that should be our next. I'm gonna reach out to our owner and be like, man, we need to talk to John Daly. So I think he just puts it in a styrofoam cup and just goes to work.
Oh, wow.
So that's
Yeah, that'd be perfect.
yeah.
Can't beat that.
It's this is how I tasted it for the first time and blew me away. I'm a vodka guy, and that's how I met the owner. And I was like, after I tried it, I was like, wow, I have got to meet this guy because this stuff's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, before we jumped on live here, I was asking you about kind of how you got involved. So do you mind kind of jumping back into a little bit of the background of how you got involved in it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm like I said, I'm always interested in new things. I've always had a creative side, and my dad and my mom always told me, you know, football's great, but have stuff outside of football and that you can fall back on. And I was home in the summer. I was living at the beach, and I was at Neptune's. Rest in peace, Neptune's. But when it was open, and Christopher, the bartender, who's been there for I think he's over at Dockside now, but he was there forever. I was in one night, and I usually only drink Kettle One. He always has a Kettle One and soda ready for me.
Yeah.
And he goes, hey, Connor, you need to try this new local vodka because Neptune's was the first place to carry it, first place to carry it. And so props to them. And he goes, man, it's really smooth. And I was like, well, I've had Bedlam, I've had the Social House and a few different ones. And, you know, no offense to them. They were okay, but I still drank Kettle One and the higher end stuff. And then I tried this and I was like, I looked at my buddy and I go, no, this is not good. This is dangerous. And I put it on some ice then after I tried it neat. And I was just like, man, I've never been able to drink vodka just on some ice. And so luckily the owner and I I had a buddy in real estate who said, you need to meet him. We had mutual friends. And so we set up a meeting and had a coffee, and it kind of just fell into place, and we kind of became great friends instantly. I joined the advisory board kind of on a role of just kind of helping just with different ideas, and he can throw stuff at me. I was the youngest person. They wanted a younger person on the board. And then as it just continued, I was like, man, I got to be like involved somehow, have some skin in the game. This is just too good. This is going to be a massive brand. And I just knew it was just the branding, the bottle, just the vodka. It's just, the vodka is so good that like, I just don't know how we're going to screw this up. And so I finally convinced him to let me invest. And it took a long time because he doesn't, he's done very well in his endeavors, and he wasn't really looking for investors, but I just kept pushing him and pushing him. And, we got a tequila coming out too.
Oh, no, I didn't know that.
And that's what he wanted me to kind of like really focus on. But I was like, Blue Shark Vodka like means a lot to me because it's from Wilmington. We distill in Las Vegas now, but we started out distilling just literally over in Dutch Square off of Market Street.
Oh,
and that's what, that's what got me. That's why I just felt, because I love supporting local. Being from here, I was like, I can get behind the tequila, but like, tequila has to be made down in Mexico. And I just was like, man, I really want to be behind the Blue Shark Vodka brand. That's what feels good to me. So finally I had to break down some walls, but I got to it. And finally I was able to, I invested very early. And when we just had the pretty shark in the bottle, and now I helped design the new fifth we have that's more at the Tito's price point. And then we have the half gallon now, which we call Big Blue. And we're the whole, when we literally sat in my beach house and we talked, and I'm like, Mark, that's the owner, Mark Bloomquist. I was like, what do you want to, like, where do you want this company to go? What do you want to do? He's like, man, I want to compete with Tito's. I was like, all right, that's good. That's a tough, hey, if we can ever be close to them, we're going to be very successful. Yes. And I just said, well, we're going to have to get some new bottles, because the shark bottle was beautiful. It's amazing, but it just seems very boutique and local, right? So if we're going to expand and be a big brand, then we got to find something that people aren't going to want to just keep and fill it up with sand or lights. And we want people to go back and buy another bottle of vodka. So what people are doing now are buying the half gallons and then pouring the half gallon into the pretty fifth. Kind of keeping it filled up, because it's just such a cool bottle, and we sell that at a very premium price. Yep. But people buy it like we can't keep it on the shelves for like, real estate presents, for closings, or just, it's just a cool bottle. So I sat there with them. I was like, man, we need a new bottle. So I helped pick out the new fifth and half gallon and helped with the artwork and all that. And then the rest is history. We've just been, it's been nonstop. We are selling so much vodka right now. It's insane. It's really cool.
That's awesome. Was there a pretty big pickup after COVID with everyone getting back out there and just kind of a new push to, I'm sure people were looking to add something new to their collection too, like even just businesses. Yeah.
I mean, it's, the greatest thing about the spirits industry is it's really recession proof. I mean, people are, when people are having a great time and they're happy, they're drinking. When they're not doing well, they're drinking, which is never a good thing, but it's a very recession proof business. I mean, the hardest thing for us was just, luckily Mark, a lot of people get into these businesses not really having much experience. You're just trying to figure it out as you go. But Mark was in Seagram's for, I think, 30 years or 20 in international sales. So he knew the Brofmans who started Seagram's, and he knew the industry. So I trusted that he had the experience, and he literally, he was a one-man show keeping us alive in COVID. You got shortages everywhere. Glass shortages, everything. But Dale DeGroff, who's the king of cocktails, reached out to him and said, Mark, I don't know how you guys are still in business. Anyone that started when you did during COVID is not in business anymore. And Mark was able to, he found bottles, he found caps, he went places. He was able to keep the company afloat. And now we started out with like maybe not even a quarter truckload full of glass. Now we're like truckloads full of glass at once. And we're now, more premium type partners with the glass company we use. So we have grown tremendously, and it's been, that's what's cool about Wilmington. Everyone's pretty cool everyone supports local and has been great supporting us, and we're super appreciative of it. And it's just helped us so much. So it's been fun to enjoy to jump on the ride and enjoy it. So it's been great.
That's neat. So
good.
I was just, so you said you're from Wilmington originally.
I am, yes.
And so we'll get into kind of your professional career path here in a second too, but you've been around the U.S. and I'm sure you've visited many places. So what brought you back to Wilmington?
Just kind of how it started, just the beach. I'm a beach guy. I think that's kind of what's helped me. We moved here in 96. My dad taught at UNCW for 20 years.
Oh, okay.
So he was at Memphis. I guess it was Memphis State back in the 90s. Now it's Memphis, University of Memphis. Yeah. But he had to choose between UNC Charlotte or UNC Wilmington. And nothing against Charlotte, but I'm glad he chose Wilmington. I just think the vibe here, just kind of the low key, just kind of chill, not super fast paced, kind of helped me paved my career path and kind of helped me with the way I kicked and helped my career. And just, traveling, playing in Denver, Kansas City, Chicago, love the big cities.
Yeah.
Awesome time. I love when my friends come and visit, but I always was, as soon as the season was over, unfortunately I wasn't didn't have the best results on the teams I was on. So I didn't get to go to the playoffs much. So I was home pretty quickly after the season, early January. So I was always itching to get back. Cause I don't know, there's just an aura about Wilmington and Wrightsville Beach, and there's a calming feel, and I just felt at peace here. And I've been to a lot of beaches, and I still think Wrightsville is just something about it. The sand, the water, it's not rocky. It's just, you can get out easily. It's still very residential. It's not overly commercialized yet where you got all these huge high rises. Right. And I think that's what makes me feel at home the most. So I just try to get back here, and now I'm back full time, but I would always try to get back as quick as I could in the off season. Yeah. Just cause all my friends were here, my family, and just all the support systems around the area. So it's a beautiful place.
Nice.
Cool.
Because I am also from here. Where did you go to school?
I went to Hoggard.
Okay.
Where'd you go?
I went to Laney.
Okay.
Yeah. But Hoggard did have a better football team.
Not when I was there. Oh. You guys had our number when I was.
Wait, when did you graduate?
I was 2004. So.
Okay. Yeah. It was like that weird transition because I got to Laney in 04.
Okay.
Or 03 to 07. And that was the year when like the varsity team was like, but the JV team was just kicking everybody's ass. And I was like, oh, this is going to be good. And then everyone just like disappeared.
I'm pretty sure y'all went to the state championship my freshman or sophomore year. Y'all went to the state championship. Laney did.
I can see that.
You guys had some. I got moved up towards the end of my freshman year to varsity, and I got to play at Laney, and you guys destroyed us. So it was you guys had some absolute studs on the team, and a couple of guys went to Virginia, some big time D1 players, and then I don't know. I mean, Laney, my dad's the kicking coach now at Hoggard.
Okay,
oh, wow.
He volunteers because he's got probably the most experience of anybody in this town. Just because my brother kicked as well.
Yeah.
Okay. And so he volunteers and helps with the kickers. And this past year, I went to the game at Laney. Y'all were tough, man. You guys had our number, and we were able to pull it out. But y'all are getting better.
I feel like the schools do those like the waves. Like in every sport, it's like either the team just stays on top, or the town just has these waves where people move in and like this team gets really good and then the other team gets a little bit bad and then you kind of go back up.
And just because I don't know, can you do more like recruiting in this county?
No, I don't know if there used to be open enrollment for athletes. I don't think I don't want to get in any trouble here. I don't think there's.
So there used to be, I think they technically stopped open enrollment for a couple of years because some of the schools just got too big.
I can see that, yeah.
When I graduated, every single school in town had minimum 2,000 kids.
Wow.
And I mean, there's only 4 high schools. And then my little sister graduated 4 years ago, and I think they had just started open enrollment again because everyone had shifted to the north side of town. And they just haven't redistricted. And so Laney had almost 200 to 300 more kids than like some of the other schools, and they were still playing each other, and Laney was kicking their ass. So you had to like do the balance. So,
I mean, Ashley wasn't open my freshman year, so we had like the trailers out there, and it was like a college campus. It was like you could barely walk down the hallways.
That's crazy.
And that's probably one of the reasons my brother won a state championship, but we did not because my sophomore year Ashley opened, and that took a lot of our really good players. But they were such a new program that they just weren't able to compete yet.
Right.
I mean, there was a couple guys like Levin Neal and a couple guys that went to NC State. And, man, if we would have had those guys, we probably would have won a state championship. But we'd always get to the third round and then get knocked out because there's some of those bigger teams they got some players.
Yeah. Well, it's crazy because everyone's like technically you're in the same bracket. I'm like, but does that town have how many schools in it? Like you get everybody pulled into one.
Right, yeah.
Like I think that'd be kind of cool if every county could just do
that'd be crazy.
Do an all-star team and just, that'd be too much work. But
that'd be a lot of work. So how'd the transition go for going from high school to college football?
It was pretty seamless. I mean, luckily Coach Scott Braswell, our high school coach, really kind of kind of coached just like a college team, like a small college team. Okay. So I felt very prepared. I wasn't overwhelmed when I got to college. I went to so many camps in the off season. I played in the All-American Bowl. I had to kick off against Adrian Peterson.
Oh, wow.
I mean, literally my senior year of high school in January, I was kicking off, and the dang kickoff returner was Adrian Peterson, and I'm just like, and look what that guy's done. I mean, like Ted Ginn was our kickoff return guy. I mean, we had some absolute, there were some studs in my 2004 class, and so I kind of played on some bigger. For some reason, it's crazy. I went to the All-American Bowl, and I was an All-American in USA Today, but I didn't go to the Shrine Bowl in North Carolina versus South Carolina. It doesn't make, so I didn't play in that, but I got to play in there's a bunch of bowl games now for I think there's the Under Armour bowl game, but
that's right.
When you got U.S. Army was like the game back when I was in, I mean, if you got there, you were one of the best players. There was only one kicker and one on each side, so East and West, and being able to kick off to him and you got to play down there and in the Alamo Bowl and all that for that game, it set me up for kind of, the ACC is an amazing conference, but I felt like I could transition very easily into it. And, the SEC is a whole nother, it's just a whole nother level. And I heard there's some rumors out there that,
I did too.
That UNC it got invited to maybe the Big Ten, maybe, and then the SEC or something.
I heard that out there too.
Murmurs. Yeah. I'm not sure, but that's, we have a brand.
So 2 questions. One, because I know zero about you. You went to UNC?
I did, yes.
Okay. I was trying to figure that out this whole time.
So it was between, I had probably 5 shoe boxes full of letters all over because I was the number 1 kicker in the country coming out of high school. And I wish I look back, and one of my words of wisdom is I wish I would have really taken advantage of the opportunities to go and visit all these different schools. I committed so fast to Carolina. I was the first commitment of the class because I was kind of the biggest recruit at the time. And they were like, if you commit now, you're going to bring a bunch of other guys.
I see.
So they got me. And, I wish I would have looked at Oregon was recruiting me, Notre Dame, and it ended up being between it came down to Ohio State and UNC.
Okay.
And I would have had to redshirt my freshman year behind Mike Nugent, who was a very successful kicker in the NFL. And then Coach John Bunning at UNC was like, hey man, you can start as a freshman here. I was like, well, it's close to home. My parents can come, we're big on education in our family, and that's a great, to have a degree from UNC is amazing. And because you never know if you're going to play in the NFL. I didn't think at that time I was going to do that.
Yeah.
And so they were, as soon as he said I could start as a freshman, I was like, done.
Yeah.
And UNC is just now we're Jordan brand, which I wish we were a Jordan brand when I was there. I mean, the stuff they get now, I can't even get a pair of Jordans. I'm like, come on, coach. I'm like boys with our equipment guys still, and I'm like, how does Mitch Trubisky? Well, obviously, he's the man. He was the second pick in the draft. And I'm like, I'm sitting next to him in the locker room in Chicago, and I'm like, man, look at this big bag. Like, you got this whole box.
Full bag?
Yeah, he's got like a box of swag from UNC, and I don't get anything. Wow. I'm like, come on, man. I just want a pair of Jordans.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
Well, when I went to Laney, technically, Laney is a quote unquote, like the basketball team's a Jordan brand. I don't think legally they are, but Jordan donates money, and if you made varsity, boys or girls basketball, you got a pair of J's. And I was like, I was so mad.
You mean you should see now when we'll go up, my brother and I obviously will go up because my brother's the all-time, he's got the most field goals in the history of UNC.
Yeah.
He broke my record.
Oh, no way.
Which is pretty cool.
That is cool.
So we'll go up to he's got I'm an uncle now, which is awesome. He's got a 3-month-old daughter now. And we'll go up to a couple games a year. And just the difference now that Mac Brown's come in, and just the money that we've gotten in from just people donations, and just it used to be this video room we'd go into just to they play a video for the recruits. Now it's this insane. You got the huge UNC logo. You got every pair of Jordans on the wall. It's just the biggest recruiting. It's another level. That's how we're competing now with the SEC and these bigger schools. Because when I went in, there was a theater room, and it's come to UNC. They play a rah-rah video, but now it's literally lit up, every Jordan, every jersey. It's insane. It's the coolest. If I was a high schooler, I'd be like, yeah, I'm coming here.
Yep.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Laney, Jordan donated, and they helped build the second gym at Laney, and the second gym has a wall of all white versions of every J that came out.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, oh, that's so sick.
And probably ones we've never seen. You know,
No, it's like I didn't even know that when it came out. Yeah, that's how you get people.
I mean, he's got his boat. I mean, he always fishes in that Big Rock tournament. Yeah. He has his boat wrapped in the one of the shoes. He's got his G6, his plane wrapped. Yeah. It's pretty cool. He's the man. He's the legend.
So currently, he is the guy who's from Wilmington, but out of the people that I've met, you're technically the guy who's done a bunch and left and come back. So you played at UNC, which is rumored, because they're always rumoring to mix up conferences. Yeah. There's no way they're leaving ACC. I don't care what anybody says.
Money talks these days.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think they're trying to just ruin the NCAA somehow and just completely just get them out of there. And it's just these big, huge super conferences now, but we'll see.
Because I saw something, they were like, well, Clemson and Florida and Miami are trying to go to SEC. I was like, oh.
Yeah, I think it was going to be I think they invited UNC, Clemson, Miami, and Florida State maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe Notre Dame, or maybe Notre Dame was they're trying to get them to go to Big Ten. I don't know.
Notre Dame's weird because they're like in a conference, but not really in a conference.
They got their monster deal with NBC to do their own.
Yeah, they literally aren't. Like,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they have their own. Like they're in their own. You know, they're ACC. I think now for other sports, with football, they're still considered like independent.
Yeah,
because they have a monster deal with NBC, and that's kind of their.
Yeah.
Every home game they're on NBC. Yeah. Every home game.
Technically, they play in the ACC, but that's part of the reason why they've lost bids to the big bowl games is because they weren't technically a part of the conference. My dad's a Notre Dame grad, so we're diehard. So
definitely know.
Notre Dame comes to Chapel Hill in September this year. It's going to be it's a win-win for him because his kids went there and he went there, so that's where I wanted to go to college, but they did not want a scholarship at kicker in my class. I got a handwritten letter from Tyrone Willingham. He's like, man, we love we love your tape. You're an amazing kicker. Yeah. We just signed somebody, so we don't. And so that was pretty cool. But I'm kind of glad now because after kicking in Chicago, playing in North Carolina, a little bit nicer weather,
right?
And it was grass. The Notre Dame Stadium is now field turf, which is nice. If you're in Chicago up north. Field turf's nicer just because it's not getting as messed up. The grass isn't getting torn up. So it was grass back in the day because I played there my junior year and I had one of the worst games of my career. So I'm like, I'm very glad I went to Chapel Hill and not Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Well, maybe you would have gotten better playing on the bad grass.
It's true. That's why I kick it. I just go practice at Hoggard now, and that's the closest facility for me. And it's the grass is okay, but it's not great. So it's kind of teaches me to. To work with the conditions, and then I'll go up to Chapel Hill maybe once a month and get on the field turf there, go to the indoor, and actually get some good work because the facilities up there now that indoor is fantastic.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a lot different than when I went there. We didn't even have it was just a big jumbotron on the visitor side of UNC Stadium. Now they got the big blue zone and all that, so it's a heck of a lot different. I mean, everything. They're doing a whole upfit on the training room and stuff now this year, so that'll be cool to see that.
Yeah. So you said that when you're starting at UNC as a freshman, you didn't really think about NFL or anything like that necessarily, right?
No, I mean, I was just kind of in the moment, enjoying being a freshman. My hair was down to my shoulders.
Yeah.
Everyone thought I smoked a ton of marijuana, which I don't. I don't smoke. Yeah. I just think everyone thought, hey, he's a beach surfer guy. He looks. I surfed a little bit. I'm not like a hardcore surfer, but the hair, curly hair down to my shoulders. Everyone was like, "This guy smokes so much marijuana. That's why he's so chill out there on the."
Right.
But no, I just enjoyed it. Struggled my freshman year, just especially in the classroom.
Yeah.
I don't care what you say. High school does not prepare you for college.
Not at all.
Yeah, very
especially
different.
when you go out on your own and you don't have anybody telling you, "Hey, you got to study" and all that, and then trying to pair that with football and practicing and trying to balance both of those things. So I think I had a 2.2 my fall freshman year and a 1.8 my spring semester. My dad's a professor, right?
Yeah.
So he sees that, he goes, because you have to have a certain GPA to play, and I'm just like, because I had a 4.0 in high school, no problem, because it just wasn't. I mean, no offense to Hoggard, it was just you don't have to do.
It's not the same caliber.
Yeah, and it's just UNC's going to a biology class at UNC. It's pre-med. I failed it. I failed so quickly. I wasn't even close. But then finally, I got Dean's List the last, I think, most of every semester after that. So I got it together.
Right.
But it just takes time. So I was really just enjoying the moment. I wasn't much of a partier, just really focused on football. I was always really big on making sure my scholarship stayed intact. I was always worried that if I messed up, got caught drinking underage or something, that I'd mess up my scholarship. So I was pretty straight edge. Like I really just focused on football. Had a lady, she went to East Carolina, so we were long distance, but actually it was good. Just kind of kept me all I did was really study and play football. So, and it worked out and obviously paid off.
Yeah.
Big time down the line. So I know freshman year, really, I just kind of had fun and didn't really understand how big it was. And then my sophomore year, I had a tough year. I had a really good freshman year. Yeah. And then I think I was so nervous that I had to like repeat that and didn't really know. I was like kicking for the fans and for everybody else except me, and not really. And I really was just like worried about, wow, if I miss one, what's going to happen? So I lost focus there. But then towards the end of my sophomore year, I got it back together. And I think after that, I missed only 3 kicks over the next 2 years.
Wow.
Sheesh. So you just live, but I got super lucky because my head coach stood behind me and he could have put somebody else in, but he kept me in there. And that was great because, like I said, I think I was like 50% going into like towards the latter part of my sophomore year, which is not a good. Yeah, no. That's not bad for like a quarterback's percentage, but for a kicker, you do not have a job usually after that. Yeah. But after that, I went 100% my junior year, and then I missed 3 kicks my senior year. So it was, ended up being like 31 for 34 or something. Wow. Like that. So it was a good run. I learned a lot of lessons and all that. So you grow up super fast playing, at that high level of a sport. So.
At what point did you start getting like more serious or getting the recruiting letters or from the NFL?
I mean, after my freshman year, after I kicked the game winner against Miami that night, I kind of put me on the map. I think that kind of opened some eyes. Like, whoa, this guy as a freshman had the composure, was able to really, the wherewithal. Like, wow, that's pretty big time as a freshman at 18 years old to kick against the number 4 team in the country. Probably costed him tons of money. and I still, it's hilarious. I mean, I played with Devin Hester was on that team, Greg Olson. They were all, so it's hilarious. Like I saw Greg Olson like years ago on my buddy's tour bus, who's a big country singer. And I'm like, how about that game back in 2004? He's like, come on, man. So it's funny. Like, Miami's obviously was one of the premier teams back. They still are, but like, that's where all the guys went back,
I remember.
And so it's cool to see like those guys in the NFL, like playing against them. And then, I think after my freshman year, and then I just had to people who tell me, hey man, you might have a shot at the NFL. So I just kind of buckled down and really just continued to compete and just go to camps and see my coaches. And cause you don't really have a kicking coach they don't really have the space on a staff to really have a true kicking coach. So I'd always go see my buddy Dan Warner, who kicked before me at UNC. Mm-hmm. He's still my coach today. Oh, cool. So I started working with him when I was like 15 years old, and he's still my coach now. Wow. So he kicked at UNC before me, and then kind of was one of the guys that kind of helped recruit me to, because I would go up there and kick in the off season when I was in high school up there with him at the facility. And when you could actually do stuff, now everything's so sanctioned and like you can't step foot on the campus anymore. And you know what I mean? It's just, they're like, oh, you're ineligible. But I think my junior year, after I went 11 for 11, which is, not many kicks, but I had a 54-yarder, some longer kicks within those 11. I was going to say, it's still good. After that year, I was like, man, I might have a shot to kick in the NFL. And that's kind of what I want to do. But man, I'll tell you, I graduated in 3.5 years and college just flew by. I feel like I didn't even enjoy it because I was just so focused. And you really have no off season. You play in the fall, you're immediately into like workouts in the spring, then you got spring ball, then you have like 1 week home in the summer, and then you got to go to summer school. And it's just because they want you up there the entire time. I never got to study abroad, which kind of was a bummer just because so many students get to do that, and it's such a cool experience. So I didn't get, obviously after playing the NFL and making some decent money, I got blessed and was able to do that and travel, and because you got a lot more downtime in the NFL. Yeah, I'm sure. But I think, after my junior year, I was like, man, I think I got a shot to maybe do this at the next level if I just keep straight and narrow and really just keep kicking well. Yeah.
So how'd that since you kind of really picked it up at the last kind of 2 years of college, that transition straight into the NFL, or was there some like growing pains to that as well?
Man, I probably got the crazy. You're probably talking to the most. I've seen it all. I've been through every up and down of any kind of. I wasn't drafted. Unfortunately, that's kind of your dream, obviously, to get drafted. Sure. I always tell buddies, and I'm like, don't draft a kicker. There's just no point in wasting. Because you can find a really good kicker in free agency. Yeah. Besides maybe Janikowski or Justin Tucker was, I think, a 5th round pick, and obviously We have the same agent. He is the best in the business. He is a Hall of Famer through and through. But I went to a couple of pre-draft visits. I thought I was going to get drafted to Seattle in the 7th round, but they ended up taking a different guy who never ended up making it. The 2 guys that made it in my class we were both undrafted guys. So the 2 drafted guys didn't make it, which is pretty funny. That's which crazy. I was saying. I just don't think you really like. What's the point of wasting you can get you might be able to find a sneaky like running back or something in the 6th, 7th round. You just never know. Right. So don't waste it on a kicker. But I'm not trying to downplay the kicking position, but I'm playing the GM role here.
Yeah.
But then I got lucky enough. I had a bunch of private workouts with Baltimore, Kansas City, Atlanta, and I had a really good workout for Kansas City. And so they ended up signing me as like a priority free agent. So literally they called you like 5 minutes after the draft was over.
Oh wow!
And I got a whopping $5,000 signing bonus. I was the happiest person coming out of college. Right. Like, dude, I'm rich. This is amazing, and it was pretty cool. So I went in there and competed. There was 2 other guys that were veterans, and they were just trying to decide, do we want to go with the veteran or we want to go with the rookie? I kicked just as well as they did, but ended up releasing me and keeping the veteran guy. So I was back home in Chapel Hill renting a place, and I worked at the Finley Golf Course. So I was one of those guys in the cage driving, picking up driving range balls. I was the guy you were like hitting the ball at. That was me. So I was back home just like trying to, pay the bills and make ends meet and just stay in shape. Cause I knew like the path for a kicker is like, you could literally be working you could be working at the supermarket. And then like, that's what happened to Matt Bryant. He was working like bagging groceries and then got picked up by Atlanta or Tampa. Wow. So I just kept working out, kept staying in shape. And then I got a call from Kansas City again. They brought me back like, I ended up playing 10 games with them, and I ended up going 80%. I had a good rookie year, and then they drafted one of my really good buddies, Ryan Suckup, who kicked at South Carolina, and won a Super Bowl last year with Tampa Bay, or excuse me, 2 years ago with Tampa.
Yep.
And they drafted him as Mr. Irrelevant, the last pick in the draft. And so I was like, well, if they draft the kicker, I'm probably gone. So I mean, I go 80%, I got cut. So it's just like, dang. I'm like, what the heck?
Yeah,
so
how much better can you do at that point?
My rookie year was it was a good year, but then I was back on the street again and trying to figure out getting my agent to get on the phone and find me a team and all that. So that's kind of what my story's been until I got signed to Tampa, where I really like stuck and made a really big name for myself. Right. But for a while there, you're literally like, I think people don't realize that like 90% of NFL players or athletes are living out of a suitcase in a hotel, trying to just hopefully maybe you're on the roster the next day. Yeah. And you don't get paid. You don't get paid in the NFL until you play. Like you're not getting anything in preseason or in like off-season workouts. I mean, that's not paying enough for your rent. I mean, living in these big cities, like,
good point. Yeah.
There's no way, like, it's people don't realize that, like, really, like, you're only seeing like the big time guys that are signing these massive deals and are really living that true, like, that baller lifestyle, like big houses and cars. Right. I mean, we can go on parking lots. It's crazy what you see in the parking lots of these. I mean, Rolls Royces, Bentleys are like, Ferraris, it's crazy. Lamborghinis. And
wow. I roll up in my Astro van.
I mean, I literally came in with the Nextera, and I remember my coach was like, I had an Acura at one time. He's like, you're driving an Acura? I was like, come on, man. Like,
you don't pay me enough.
Yeah, I'm not a big time, like I'm trying to make it here. But yeah, so for a long time they were just living in hotels. I went to Miami for training camp, actually outkicked the guy there, went 94% in camp and got released. And I'm like, oh my God, what do I got to do? Yeah. I was sitting on the curb outside the hotel on the side. Just it was at night when I called my dad, and I'm like, man, I'm not cut out for this anymore. Just because, what do I got to do to get a job? Because 94% is like, I didn't miss.
Right.
And just to keep at it. And then the coolest thing was Bill Parcells, obviously legendary coach. When he was working kind of as a GM-ish type role there in Miami, he brought me in. He goes, hey man, we have to release you, but I just want you to know, man, keep kicking. You remind me of a guy named Adam Vinatieri. And I was like, whoa, that's, now it's like that guy's going to be a Hall of Famer. I was like, that's pretty cool. So that kind of got my hopes up. And then what usually happens is while you play in the preseason is I performed well. So another team saw me, and then Tampa called and signed me, and their guy had been struggling, and kind of the rest is history with that. And I, obviously that's why I really kind of made my mark in the NFL. So it's good.
That's crazy.
It's a crazy ride, man. It's been I've got some gray hairs now, and
Right.
I always say like my body feels like it's 36, but I think my heart's like 60.
Yeah, I can
just from
imagine.
all like the stress of just like, I got to a point where it's just like after 10 years, I was just like, you know what? I'm tired of like trying to figure out where I'm going to live.
Mm-hmm.
I've had a great career. I just want to go back to Wilmington, relax, enjoy myself. And it's just such a wild ride. And it's only, some people can do it for 20 years. After 10 years, I was like, man, I'm tired of living in a hotel, or a lot of times I would stay at like a Homewood Suites for half the season because I don't want to get in an apartment, get into a lease, and then get cut,
You got to break the lease and pay all that extra.
And it's like, but once I got to Tampa, it was just one of the best times of my life. I was probably one of the better players on the team and just having an absolute blast. I was kicking the ball really, really well.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you kind of went into my next question a little bit too, where what kind of made you decide it was like time to put the cleats away and head back home?
It's like, obviously you guys anyone's had jobs, you have jobs. It's sometimes you fit into that job, sometimes you don't. And like, it's even the same thing in sports. Like I just never felt like I meshed well in Chicago. Mm-hmm. I just didn't feel like I didn't feel like I fit well. The climate, obviously I was not a cold weather kicker. So that was a big deal. I mean, I just wasn't, it just wasn't a good spot for me. Just mentally, physically, everything. I think I was checked out as soon as I got there. Cause I got cut from, they drafted somebody or something like that. So they cut me, and then my agent said, "Hey, you're going to Chicago." I'm like, "Oh, okay, Chicago. Is there anywhere else we can go?" And that's all that meant. So the key is you want to be on the opening day roster because then they have to pay you the whole year.
Okay.
So like if I would have waited, I could have waited, maybe picked a team, maybe 3 or 4 weeks. But if you were on the opening day roster, you're guaranteed your money for the year. So I was like, "Oh wow, I'll sign and get there because that way I could make sure I'm guaranteed my money for the year." So, but after that, after my training camp of my last season in 2017, they brought a guy in to compete with me as always. It just drains you. And it was the guy they drafted in Tampa. So we had history. And I'm just like, what? You guys know why? I was like, why are y'all bringing this guy back? Like, we don't have a good, like, our relationship is, we're cool. We're great. Like, he's a good buddy of mine now, but it's like at the time, it's just like, there's just too much friction there. And, when you're competing, you're in the same room all the time at meetings. And so after the training camp, I was already like burnt out. I already felt like the season had already gone, and we had already played 16 games. Wow. And we hadn't even started week 1 yet. So I got cut like right before Thanksgiving. I missed a potential tying game against Detroit. And unfortunately that was my last kick in the NFL as a miss to tie a game, which is tough. But after that, I was just like, you know what? Like I've always learned, like I've never been like football's my life. Like I love football, but I'm not like a football like junkie. I don't like to watch a lot of film. I love other stuff. I like photography and being creative and playing guitar and surfing. And so I just was like, you know what? Like football's football. I like fooled someone to let me play for 10 years. That's awesome. I fooled somebody enough to play for a decade, which is no one, not many people can say they played an NFL or a professional sport for a decade, which is pretty cool. So I was like, you know what? I've done well. I've saved my money. It's time to just move on to new things. And that's, getting into like, the vodka game and then photography and building houses. And I'd flipped a few houses while I was playing. And then I was like, man, it'd be cool if I could design my own floor plans and actually dictate where the master bedroom is. And where like, because sometimes you're like, oh, the master's upstairs. You can't, if you're flipping a house, there's not much you can do. Like, so got it. I just kind of fell in love with that stuff and the creative side of things, and just didn't feel like the NFL was, I didn't miss it, and that's my thing. I've always learned in relationships or anything I do, if I'm not 100% in it, I can't fake it. And I just had my time. But now I've had like 3 or 4 years to reflect, and it's been cool. And I kind of feel like I can go back into the NFL on my own terms and like really enjoy it now. And not really, it's not like there's no stress on the business side. It's like, I don't need to play. But it's like, hey, if I can go back in and get 3 or 4 more years of my pension and have some fun and just enjoy it, I'll do it. So I'm trying to come back in a different like mindset and not just think about it strictly as a business, but go in and the joy you first went in. And that was when you're 22 years old and like loved it. So I'm trying to go back in that mindset and just have fun. And that's kind of what you have to really be successful. I think you just got it, because it's such a grind and such a business. Like, I always say, like, if anybody's always like, are you going to offend me? I'm like, man, you don't even want to know the stuff that was said to me in a meeting room. Like, you can't ever offend me. Like, it's just, you would not have, like, the CEO would not have a job if they said what they said to an employee in my, so it's just, it's just such a grind and such a long, like that season, like when Tom Brady and those guys talk about like, it's a freak, like I can't imagine as a quarterback.
Right.
Because a kicker, you don't have a big playbook. You're just kind of, but it is a long season. You're up at 5 every day. I mean, there's not many off. You get one off day during the week. I mean, it's a grind. Your body takes a pounding. So it's, man, I just knew like I was checked out and I just kind of knew it was time to hang it up. So, and I moved on to some other cool ventures and won some things, lost some things, and it's good. So.
Yeah. I feel like that's a kind of a dangerous combination to have with you now too, with having that kind of ability to go into it with like young eyes again almost, and the excitement going in, but still have all that experience behind you. So I feel like that's a good advantage for you.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, mindset is everything. Mm-hmm. I think that you just have to have that, you just got to have that confidence, and I lost my confidence. And I think if you don't have that, it's tough. You got to be confident and trust in yourself and have that ability and know that you have that ability. Like in any line of work, it's like, you don't want to be cocky. You just want to be confident and know that, hey, I can go out and do my job, whether it's kicking, whether it's anything in life. And that's my biggest thing, is that I feel like, hey, I'm at a different point in my life where I can go into it with a clear mind and I have a clear headspace, and I can go in there and just really embrace it and enjoy it. And hey, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, but I'm going to give it this season. And then after that, I'm probably going to officially like have a retirement party. My dad's been waiting to throw. My mom and dad have been wanting to throw a retirement party because I keep going like back and forth. So my mom and dad have been wanting to throw me a big retirement party. So I'll let you guys know.
Yeah,
definitely.
It'll probably be at Jimmy's. So we'll rent the whole place out, and he'll get a bunch of my former teammates and a bunch of guys, and we'll have some fun. So he's just waiting. He's like, just let me know when you're actually gonna.
Yeah, let's do that.
He wants me to play. Like he's like, I hope it's not for another 5 or 6 years.
Right. Yeah. It'd be fun to watch one more time.
So it's cool.
So I got a question, because we're talking now at the end, but I want to go back to the beginning, because we never asked this question. What got you into kicking? Because like the kickers I knew when I was in high school, like the guy literally just played soccer, and he was like, well, they need a kicker, so I just play.
That's how ours was too in high school.
No, honestly, that's part of the story. I mean, I didn't know anything about football. I played baseball, basketball, soccer. Those are kind of my, baseball was my best sport by far.
Okay.
I have a bunch of buddies in the major leagues right now, because Germantown, Tennessee was massive for baseball. I mean, we were like, I played 85 games when I was like 10 years old.
Oh, wow.
And obviously got burnt out. Like, I mean, just like, we played like Roger Clemens' son's team down. And I traveled I think I traveled as much as I did in the NFL. And when I was playing 10 years old, my parents probably drove us. I mean, it is hardcore. I mean, so we moved to Wilmington when I was in 6th grade, and just the level at that time, it's really good. And baseball's really good here now. Yeah. But when I came to Wilmington, it just dropped. Yeah. And I just lost interest, and I would have had to travel to Myrtle Beach to really get that high level of play. Right. And I just was like, those 85 to 90 games just wore me out, just traveling every weekend. But that was my best sport. And then my dad, obviously being Notre Dame grad, big football fan, played like high school football, didn't play college. But then I was just watching a game one night with him, and I was like, man, I think I could. Saw the kicker. I was like, I think I could do that, because I was playing soccer at the time. He was like, well, why don't you give it a try? And happened to be that Hoggard was looking for a kicker my freshman year. It was just like a wide receiver who was doing the kicking. So there was no true kicker. Yeah. And so I came over one day during practice, because soccer and football go at the same time. Yeah. And they saw me kick, and they were just like, whoa, this guy's pretty good. Yeah. So I did both my freshman year. And then I was like, you know what? I was doing a little bit of the Olympic development stuff. I was decent, but I wasn't probably good enough to play in Europe, where like the big money is. Yeah. Yeah. So I was like, you know what? Let's just try this football thing. Because someone was like, hey, if you do well enough, you can get a scholarship. And I was like, that's a full scholarship. I was like, that's cool. That would help my parents, and that'd be a big deal. So I just kind of stuck with football after my freshman year. So I quit soccer and just focused completely on football. And that's kind of how. So I was probably from watching the Notre Dame football game, I just saw the kicker, and I was like, man, I bet I can do that if I'm a soccer player. So I went out there, and my first kick, the coaches were just like, whoa, that's pretty far, because they had not seen that yet, Yeah. So kind of fell in love with it. And you got to really it's like golf. It's there's so many intricacies. We could have a podcast about how to kick a football. You know what I mean? Right. Like it's so much into it. And I just fell in love with the sport and fell in love with the craft. And that's what you have to do. And I always tell kids, like, we have a free camp coming up next Tuesday. over at Hoggard, we do it every year. My brother and I, we put it on. And I always just say, you have to, like, if you're playing both sports, soccer and football, you got to make a choice, because sooner or later that swing is not the same. And if you want to be great at it, you got to make a choice on what you want to do. And my sophomore year, I kind of made that choice. I was like, this is what I want to do. This is the career path I want to go down. So that's kind of how I kind of fell into it.
We'll have to make a post about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, feel free. It's literally open to all ages. Like,
oh wow,
it's awesome. We haven't had it in 2 years because of COVID, unfortunately. But this is probably this. I think this is our 6th annual. So my brother and I, it's called the Barth Brothers Kicking Camp. Hoggard's been gracious enough, obviously, just they'll open the stadium for us and let us use the facilities. And I mean, we've had, we usually get about 70 kids, so it's a good turnout.
Yeah.
Completely free. You just come in and the kids just walk up. My mom and my aunt work the little like booth, and you just sign a waiver, and my strength coach is there, so he puts on a little like kind of strength, and he just kind of talks to the kids about how to stretch and how to hydrate and how to properly just get ready for, because you don't want to go into stuff cold. And he teaches you about nutrition, so get a little bit of everything. And then I try to bring back different players. I got a former Duke and Texas punter, Alex King. He's going to come help out the punters, and then my brother and I will take the kickers, and then we have some college and then some high school kickers that will help coach some of the younger kids, because literally there's like 3-year-olds out there too.
Oh wow!
So it's awesome. Like, it's just, I always just say, like, bring everybody. It's fun. It's a family night. It's from 5:30 to 8, so it's not like it's not like an all day thing.
Yeah.
Just come out, have fun, and we usually do you get a free T-shirt that I provide, and usually my mom has parents, they like keep stuff from everything. So like my mom has like all kinds of swag from UNC, every single team I've played for, which is way too many in the NFL. So. And so we'll give away some prizes and just do like a little kicking competition. I think this year we're going to pick one mom and one dad at the end to kick and see who can.
Oh, that'd be fun.
That'd be kind of fun.
We'll have a little competition just to see, because a lot of people are like, man, kicking's super easy. I'm like, all right, let's go.
Right, yeah.
Let's get you the extra points, 33 yards now. Let's see how many times you can make that. So it's pretty funny actually once they do it, and they're like, whoa, this is actually not that easy.
When I was playing football in like middle school, that were like, hey, we need a kicker for the team, and like a few of us that were a bunch of idiots were like, I can kick a football, and then I kicked it one time and it just like went to the side. I was like, nope, just kidding.
I kicked yesterday out at Hoggard, and my buddies were in town for the 4th, and I let them both kick, and it was one was okay, but the other one was just not. Yeah, I was just like, they knew. I mean, they never said they're good, but it's just funny to like, I could hit a 50-yarder pretty much like without warming up, So it's funny to see, like, it's like I hosted the Raymond James is the stadium name for Tampa Bay. Okay, so every year, like, Raymond James employees will come down and they do like a little fun thing on the field. So I had to do like the kicking portion, and it's just hilarious. They're like, oh, I got this. It's like 20 yards, and it's just like they're just shanking it. Yeah, every direction. It's hilarious. So
suit finance guys coming out trying to kick a ball.
Because it was the extra point was at the 10-yard line. Now it's it's 23-yard line. So it's completely changed. Like, it used to be like, oh, I never missed an extra point in my career until they changed it. They moved it back. So it's kind of a bummer there, but I had the good streak going.
Yeah.
So, as Tyler knows, I always ask a silly / random question. If you didn't kick, what position would you have wanted to play?
Probably wide receiver.
Okay.
I was a pretty decent athlete. I'm definitely not as fast as I used to be, but I actually returned punts my senior year of high school.
Oh, okay.
Because some reason nobody could, like, I knew how to punt, so I could judge. I knew how the ball like spun, and for some reason our guys on our team just couldn't judge the punt for some reason. They kept dropping them, so I was like, I'll just go back there and fair catch everything, because they wouldn't let me return it because
you can't get hurt,
because I was such a a weapon, because I could hit 50 plus field goals in high school, and so wide receiver I tried to, but they wouldn't let. My coach just kept saying, no man, we're not letting you do that, because if you get hurt so my senior year I actually got to do a couple punts, and a couple times I almost didn't call a fair catch because I saw but I was like, I know my coach is going to kill me because I don't wear quite the padding. As kickers, we try to wear the most minimal amount of anything. I mean, one year in the NFL in preseason, I wore hockey pads. I got away because I just hate anything on my, that's annoying. I wore like the tiniest chin strap you can wear and all that stuff. But so probably a wide receiver. That'd been a fun position. It would pay a lot more money, that's for sure.
Gosh.
Did you happen to go to school with Derek Brunson then?
Yeah, I love Derek. Yeah, Derek played defensive end.
Yeah. Okay. I figured you guys both played together.
Derek played defensive end and he was like a insane wrestler. Yeah. Obviously that's why that transitioned very well for his career in the MMA, but I haven't seen him every once in a while I'll see him walk around town. I haven't seen him in a long time. think last time I saw him was like in Mayfair. We were just both walking out of a shop somewhere.
Oh yeah.
Before COVID, and he's had a heck of a career, man. It's
Yeah.
You talking about an athlete? Oh my god, that guy is an absolute beast. Like he's just an insane. Have you guys had him on here?
Not yet. I'll probably have him on soon though. When we start 75 hard, I was going to try to bring him on. So I know
y'all are doing. My buddy just doing it right now.
So I did it last year.
Yeah.
I did it last.
Well, you haven't obviously.
We haven't started yet. So I did it last year and thought it was the best thing ever. So I told him start of August 1, we're starting it.
It's like you have to work out like twice a day, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that right? Okay. And then like
August, I'm on vacation.
Okay, then whenever you get back from vacation.
I mean,
my buddy,
yes.
yeah.
That way I can have a week of like trying to get workouts, and then I'll start. All right.
It just has to be some form of like because my buddy Chase Rice, who's a big country singer, he just came down here. He was my roommate in college.
Oh no way.
So he's like my best buddy. I knew him when he wasn't even able to play guitar. Like he was brutal on the guitar. That's how he got the chicks though, you know. So, but his middle brother, or his middle brother lives over in like towards Hampstead.
Oh, okay.
So he comes in town all the time. We hang out, and he just came in town after a show at Myrtle Beach, and he's doing that. He's like on day I think he was on day like 42 when he came.
Oh yeah.
So he was like, he had to like get some kind of a walk in, or you have to do some kind of like I think golf worked for an exercise. Like as long as you're doing
so it's
something
outside.
active,
Outside.
So
at least one of them's outside.
and then you got to drink like a gallon of water or something.
Yep,
like
gallon
that.
of water a day.
Is there a diet? Is there like a diet you follow?
You
or
have
no?
to choose a diet and stick to it.
But he's lost like 30 pounds.
Wow.
Because he was boozing like every night, playing every show, getting like he gained like a bunch of weight. And,
Oh yeah.
but I mean, he was 240, just like chiseled in college, played linebacker,
Wow.
and now he's like 195. So he's lost a bunch of weight, man. But you know that, not to get off subject, but that music industry, man, it can get tough. Just touring every night, drinking after every show, and I think he just wanted like a reset. And he looks great, and I think he's performing better than he's ever performed, just kind of mentally. And
I'm sure.
Yeah, that's pretty funny that y'all said you're doing that. That's cool.
Yeah, the mental clarity you get from it is incredible. Yeah. That's why I want to do it again too. And we actually brought in it's a bourbon. It's called Spiritless. There's actually no alcohol in it.
Side.
No, it's now on that side. But yeah, so we'll do that for our shows for that.
I've actually gotten into like non-alcoholic beers a little bit. It's weird. My buddy is a big surfer, and he just noticed how he wasn't surfing as well drinking. So he stopped, but he loves beer, loves the taste. So like when you grill out, it's nice to have like a
just
drink.
have something.
So he kind of got me on this kind of some non-alcoholic beer. So when I go on the boat a lot, because I'm driving usually, I don't like to take the risk, obviously, with, and especially with the fourth and everything. So a lot of times I'll drink these it's like athletic or Athletico beers. Yep. And it still feels like I'm part of the, still engaging, but I'm not drinking. So like I can have something in my hand, and not like I'm not saying I'm an alcoholic, but it's just nice to be a part of what, because everyone else is drinking, having a good time. You feel like you're still part of the kind of the energy and all that. So
they did a great job too, that Athletic brewing company, because like you can have one and it tastes like an IPA. Like they've done a pretty good job.
I got a few at Lighthouse. Usually carries a bunch of they have some cool stuff there. That's where I first tried it.
Yeah, but like Derek doesn't drink, so like we'll probably bring him on when that's going on and everything too. And so I used to train at Brunson's MMA and Fitness, so I was actually very first. I was the very first person that signed up when he created Brunson's MMA and Fitness. Well, actually, my wife went in and signed me up, which is a whole other story. But yeah, so I know Derek pretty well from that and everything. So yeah, it's cool that you guys played together.
Yeah, no, he was a big guy. He was a big DN, did very well for us, and then obviously was like a 2 or 3 time All-American in college. Yeah. Pembroke wrestling. That's MMA sport, man. That's tough.
That's a different one.
He's got. I got to give it to him. I've never been in a fight. I never want to be in a fight. Right. Just seeing. I'm just like, because when they do the slow mo, it's just it's just like it's just like, oh God, why would you? But hey, man, it's a professional sport. It's something you're passionate about. Yeah. It's awesome. I love it. That's still a bucket list. I don't know if y'all have ever been to an event, but that's still a bucket list for me to go to a UFC. That'd be fun to go out to see a fight. That'd be really cool.
Yeah, I've been to a few, but I actually went to when they brought it to Charlotte, and Derek was the headliner for that one. I got to go out and enjoy that one.
So it's just hard because like you pay all that money and you're like, oh, maybe it's 30 seconds. Maybe it's
exactly. It's either gonna be 25 minutes or 30 seconds.
At least like baseball, you're getting a good 9 innings. Right. So you're really getting your money. You're getting your money's worth.
Well, it kills me because I will always remember this. I had a friend Kristen, she had a birthday and she came down here and they were partying and we were watching one of the UFCs, and I'm pretty sure it's the one where Spider blew his leg out.
Broke his leg, yeah.
And we were sitting there and it was taking so long. We're like, man, we want to go downtown. Let's go get a drink and we'll just see some of them. And we ended up downtown and like it pulls up on the TV in the club we were at. And I was like, wait, what? I was like, man, I missed that. We had been sitting because it was in Buffalo Wild Wings, was over there by Walmart.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I was like, we had the perfect seats and we left it. And now I had to.
Yeah, it's just hard. You just never know what. Because, I mean, I don't know how it works. Like, obviously, if there's a knockout really fast, it just goes to the next card immediately, right? There's not like a. So, like, if the main fight is like at a certain time, it could be way earlier, right? If it's, or does it always stay?
It'll stay pretty darn close because they
keep
have so much to talk about every fighter. They'll fill it in with stuff and random things going on. I was wondering if
everything gets pushed up or if it's actually like
It stays pretty true.
That makes sense.
Yet
learn something.
The very last card, since there's really only so much you can fill in, so it might end if it starts at 10, it might end at 12:30 or it might end at 2. So you never know.
That's the thing. That's the one sport besides rugby and cricket and some of you, but MMA, I'm still trying to it's pretty cool to see. Just, I mean, those guys are in shape. You're talking about 70, what is it called? 75 hard.
Yeah.
So that's just their body. That's insane. Those guys are in shape. Wrestling for that long.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
I'm good.
I've done some boxing stuff, and I'm just like, wow. Boxing and that, it's just, wow, that's a heck of a workout.
Oh, yeah, it is. So we are starting to head up on our time today, so we need to ask you our last question here. And it is, if you could tell your younger self one thing, what would it be?
To always take chances. And that's my biggest thing is take chances, take risks. Don't be scared to fail because I failed a lot, but was able to pick myself up. So I think that my younger self was like, don't be scared to take chances, take risks. Don't be afraid to fail because that's how you become great. And just don't be afraid to be great. I mean, that's one thing I look back at my Chicago time and I think I didn't take advantage of that as much. I didn't feel like I should have really just grabbed the bull by the horns and really just went after it. And I just kind of felt like I checked out. So my younger self would have been like, don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to be great, compete, and just take chances, take risks, and it'll pay off.
Yeah. And I kind of want to circle back. I guess it's not the last question because now I thought about this one. It seems like you have a lot of creativity too, and which is probably where that quote comes from. And don't be afraid to fail and take chances. So where'd that creativity come from?
I don't know. I just, one day I was sitting at my beach house and I was like, man, we live in a beautiful place here at Wilmington. And I just was like, all my buddies surf. It'd be cool to be able to I'm always a big fan of I love social media. I love all that stuff, but I think that can be a very bad thing. I'm very big about being in the moment and really when I'm going on vacations and stuff, I take pictures, but I also like to just not have I lost my phone the first day I was in Italy. On one of those gondolas first day. So I didn't have my phone for 14 days. It's the worst thing because you can't take photo, but I got to experience and really just be in the moment.
Right.
And I think that's where I was just living at the beach, I just realized, man, we have such a cool palette here. And then I bought a drone. My biggest, and I guess another thing about what I tell my myself as a kid is that school, I love classes, school's great, but I think you got to just dive into something and learn it and fail. And just, that's how you learn the best. I never took a photography class. I just learned it. I failed a bunch of times. I didn't know how to edit photos. My first canvases were they weren't even crisp. They were blurry. I'm like, what did I do wrong here? So I think that for me, it's you just got to dive into it and just kind of learn on the go. I think that's when you become the best, is because I think there's a fine line between classroom work and that kind of stuff. My parents always say, go take a photography class, but I'm like, no, I'm going to get in the water because I have an in-water housing. So I'm going to get in the water. I'm going to put my settings on my camera and I'm going to figure it out. If it's too dark, if it's too grainy, I'll come back the next time. I think that's how you truly learn. Really and I think that's I don't know where my creativity came from because I wasn't I can't draw but it's just I have a keen eye for, I've talked about going and getting my interior design degree just because I got really lucky and I'm able to put colors together very well. Yeah. I can design houses. I can pick out furniture. I always say with my buddies, I can pick out jewelry for women very well. And
that's great.
And I can pick out women's, like, it's weird. It's just like, I have this keen thing. Maybe that's my creativity. I can match stuff very well. And I think that comes with like angles and like, I picked up the drone, and I guess you have to have the ability to pick the angles right. And people started being like, man, you really have a good eye. And I was like, that's pretty cool. And kind of caught on. So I think just living here in Wilmington, like obviously that's why there's a lot of movies filmed here and TV shows. Right. It's just like, we have such a cool area that there's so much to show and so much to shoot and so much to see and that's how I helped to kind of design the new fifth for our bottle for the Blue Shark Vodka. Cause I was just like, he kind of sent me a bunch in the mail, and I came up with one and ended up won a platinum award for our series. Wow. We beat out Michael Jordan last year for our series of bottles, and he's got his tequila bottle is literally shaped they have it at 23 degree angles. Like they designed it like that. And I literally picked mine out of like a catalog. And our series of bottles got the best in class at the SIP Awards last year.
Oh my goodness.
Which is the highest honor you can get. And so it's pretty cool. Like, so I don't know. Because my parents, like, they're not like, no one paints but my mom's big into photography as well.
Okay.
And so like, you're talking about, I don't need to take pictures because my mom takes 190,000 on the trips we go on. So I don't need to take a picture, but yeah, I mean, I just think that's where it probably came from. Just living here and just understanding the beauty we have and being by the beach and all that. So that's a long-winded answer. Sorry about that.
No, I appreciate it. That's awesome.
I'm down for it.
Yeah. That's what the podcast is all about.
Which leads perfectly into, where can people find you on social media?
Yeah. So my actual, like, I don't have, some reason Twitter, I don't know what happened. I had the check mark on Twitter, but then I can't get in anymore. And then it's linked to my UNC email from college, and I have no clue.
Nope.
That's how old I am. But my Instagram is where mostly all my stuff is. It's at Conti Barth, CONT Barth, or I'm sure if you type in Connor Barth, I got lucky enough to get one of those blue check marks. Pretty cool. I don't know how I got that. It just showed up. Everyone always hits me, how'd you get that? I'm like, literally it showed up one day. I didn't do I literally will get messages like, hey, how'd you get the blue check mark? What'd you pay? I was like, I didn't pay $1. I literally just, years ago, obviously, differentiate, it shows it's just really you.
Right.
Because playing in the NFL, literally one day in the NFL, I woke up, or one day in my locker room, I just looked at my Instagram. I was like, whoa, that's pretty cool. Because everyone wants to get that blue check mark. Like,
so, he's real.
At Conti Barth is my main page, and then I have at Connor Barth Photography. So that's like where I post mostly all my pictures, and I have my emails on there from my photography. If someone wants to contact about buying some artwork, I'm in a bunch of different restaurants in town, and I have a website. I took it down, so I'm kind of revamping it, trying to kind of figure out. I wasn't getting a ton of traction on there, so I was getting more just people emailing me, because I love, like, I don't know if that's creative side of me, but I love like actually meeting the client and actually getting to know them and actually understand what they're trying to do, what the space looks like, not just someone going on my website, clicking, buying something. I never meet them. I like to actually like
interact.
I think it's kind of like the old school thing that we're not seeing as much. I love, like, I'm glad we actually did this in person, and we could have done it over Zoom, I'm sure, so it's nice to actually get to meet people in person. And I think that's a lost art these days, that we're just going so virtual that, so at Conti Barth is my main one on Instagram, and then at Connor Barth Photography is my photography. And people probably hate it. I'm very active on I'm posting stories constantly about Blue Shark and my photography. Like if you went today, I put a bunch of my stuff on that I got for that boat I'm doing and all that stuff. So hopefully a lot of my workout stuff. So if you want to get some new workout routines, we're always posting stuff with my trainer. We've talked about maybe starting a little thing ourselves where we just talk, like, because we have so much experience together about doing because there's so many things, so many lucrative things in business now with social media where, my trainer's been in the business for 18 years. He's got like 5 or 6 first round picks in Major League Baseball. Like he's got myself. I mean, he's got some serious athletes in his gym, and like his techniques and what he's learned, like between me and him, I think we could do a really cool tutorials and really teach how to train. Yeah. And I still see people lifting, and I'm like, man, that is not how you squat. Like, ooh, that looks like it hurts your knees a little bit.
You mean I'm not supposed to lean super far?
Like, no, yeah. So we've talked about maybe doing something like that, because you just see that's one cool thing about business now, is that social media, man, you don't have to pay for marketing is so much cheaper now, because you can literally go on Instagram and you can do things now without having to pay premium dollars to get looks and stuff like that. So that's what's helped us a lot with Blue Shark and in my personal businesses as well. So it's cool.
Nice. So all y'all follow Connor on all his social media aspects. his photography is amazing.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. Those drone shots, like you said, they're amazing. Every time you post, I'm like, dang, how'd you do that?
I just ordered a new in-water housing, all new lenses.
Yeah.
So I'm really, the coolest thing I think is like getting out in the morning when the sun's just coming on the horizon over the water. You get in the water and you can get some of these insane, like just crazy shots of the sun bouncing off the water. It looks like fire hitting the water.
Yeah.
And you got to have these certain lenses that have a super, really good and low light. And I'll tell you what, man, photography is expensive. Holy smokes. Don't get into it unless you're ready to spend some money because, God bless, I feel like every year it's something new. And then if you get a new camera, you got to get a new housing for the water. But there's these crazy abstract shots you can get of the sun where it looks massive and then it's just bouncing and it's just I've been wanting to really hone in on those a little bit. So hopefully I'll have some of those out here in the next couple of weeks once I get some new equipment in.
Nice.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for listening to this little podcast we got going over here, Whiskey and Wisdom. If you want to support us.
Vodka and wisdom today.
Huh?
Vodka and wisdom today.
Spirits and wisdom.
Yeah.
All different ones, yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, we do like to support local.
Yes.
So we did the Blue Shark Vodka today. Super crisp.
Yeah. If you see it in Wilmington or the other new cities that it's out in, definitely give it a shot.
Yes. Surprisingly enough, you don't have to shoot it straight back. You can actually sip on this one.
That's why we call it the shark that doesn't bite.
Yeah.
Because actually, funny story. So blue sharks are actually the most docile sharks in the water. So that's kind of where we got our name. So blue sharks, we actually do a lot with the Atlantic Shark Institute.
Okay.
We give money every year. Some of our bottles go towards supporting tagging and understanding the migratory patterns of blue sharks.
Oh,
so we're actually doing that right now. They just tagged a female actually the other day, which is pretty cool. So we do a lot with the oceans and giving back with that way. And yeah, that's why it was called Blue Shark Vodka because our owner is a Navy SEAL. He's a diver. He dove with those sharks and they're very docile. They're not, most people think shark attacks, right? So blue sharks are some of the most docile and gentle creatures in the ocean. And that's why we got that name, Blue Shark Vodka. We're the shark that doesn't bite because our vodka tastes smooth and it's not really burning smooth. And all that. So that's kind of a little backstory.
Oh, that's cool.
I like that.
And the big thing is we're big on giving back and trying to give back to the oceans and we do a lot of beach sweeps and all that stuff. So we're doing one down in Charleston, in Sullivan's Island in August in part. The Post Tavern started in Charleston. Right. So we're now down there in their restaurant in the main one. So we're going to partner with them and do a beach sweep in the morning. I think and then we're going to end up having some drinks at Pose afterwards. So we're trying to, make sure you give back. And I think that's important.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Love it. Well, if you do want to support local, buy some Blue Shark Vodka. But yeah, thank you, Connor, for coming on.
I appreciate you guys having me. It was awesome.
Yeah, thank you. I greatly appreciate it. And I brought you on because I always love a good reason to drink some Blue Shark.
Hey, every day is a good day to drink some Blue Shark.
You got that right.
It's summertime too, so it's perfect. It is.
Yeah, it's even better. All right. Thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you for coming on, and we'll see you on the next one.
Cheers.
Cheers. Appreciate it.
Thank you.